Good day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Jeremy. This is the Financial Education Channel, and 2016 is just about all wrapped up. So today we're going to look at all the biggest stories in the stock market this year, the 6 biggest things, in my opinion, that happened in the stock market. Some things that, were predicted to go a certain way if certain things happened, and they ended up not actually going that way, guys. So I'm here today to go over all these different things, guys. The 6 biggest things in 2016 stock market review. Let's get into this. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy this video today. Leave me a comment on your biggest stories and headlines you thought in the stock market this year, guys. So number 1. The Fed raised rates and the stock market still went up. There was a lot of fear going into 2016 that this was going to be a year that the Fed was going to raise rates. A lot of people were very confident the Fed would be raising rates this year. Now, this was the first time the Fed has raised rates in like a decade, guys. So there was a lot of fear out there that the stock market would suffer because of this. The stock market would go down because companies would be able to take out less debt, or at least want to take out less debt because interest rates are higher. They'll have to pay back on those loans and whatnot. And also maybe margin accounts, that people use and hedge funds use and a lot of people use. Maybe people won't be investing as much because then the margin rates you have to pay on those loans are more. Also, maybe the housing market begins to struggle because then home loans might get more expensive, car loans, any type of loan in general gets more expensive. And this might all affect the stock market and make the stock market go down. When the Fed did raise rates multiple times this year, but the stock market did not go down. The stock market went up, and it was actually a halfway decent year for the stock market overall. Not bad at all. So that is number 1 thing that going into 2016, a lot of people thought Fed raising rates, oh my gosh, that's going to mean doomsday. And it did not mean doomsday, guys. That leads me into number 2 here. Donald Trump got elected and the stock market went up after he was elected. There was so much fear out there that if Donald Trump got elected, the stock market would be done. The stock market would go down to 14,000 or 12,000 in no time because he's elected and we need Hillary elected. And if Hillary's elected, then we're all going to make so much money because, the stock market went up a lot under Obama and Hillary's like Obama 2.0. So the stock market's going to just blast off under Hillary. Well, then Trump ended up getting elected, and look where the stock market's at. It's 1,500 plus points higher than it was before Trump got elected, and he hasn't even done anything yet. So the stock market obviously did not take it as necessarily negative news. It actually took it as very positive news, guys. So a lot of people feared that, man, we'd be at 14,000 or 16,000 or 12,000 or something right now if Trump was elected. And the stock market just took off even more, guys. So another conspiracy out there that people thought was going to happen, and it did not happen. It worked out the exact opposite way, guys. Number 3. Corporate profits went down. Corporate profits went down year over year for the first time since the Great Recession, guys. So this was actually a very bad sign. And even despite this, the stock market still went up this year, which is kind of funny, I guess you could say. Yeah, corporate profits as a whole, if you look at the amount of S&P profits this year, it's down versus 2015. And, 2015 wasn't that strong of a year versus 2014. So this was the first year that corporate profits were actually down versus, the last time it was in the Great Recession. So that was kind of a fearing time. Now in 2017, corporate profits are expected to bounce back and corporate profits are expected to go up. And also, another big reason why corporate profits were hurt so bad this year was because of the oil decline, which hurt pretty much almost the entire energy sector profits. A lot of companies went from being very profitable to almost non-existent profit, if not taking big losses. So, in commodities in general were very weak, in the latter part of 2014 and all throughout 2015, which hurt corporate profits for all of 2016, guys. So the whole energy sector really weighed heavily on corporate profits, and that's one of the main reasons why corporate profits were down versus, 2015 versus 2014 and all those years basically since the Great Recession, guys. So, number 4. China stabilized. So China, throughout 2015, there was a lot of worry about China, that China was just going to start getting really ugly, and China began to stabilize with their numbers. Now, of course, the Chinese numbers, people don't put a lot of, I guess you say, faith in the Chinese numbers, because a lot of people feel like the Chinese government kind of, makes some of those numbers up, and who knows, it could be true, it could not be true. But if they were probably making them up before, they probably might be making them up now. So the bottom line is, at the end of the day, the numbers did begin to stabilize. There's more confidence in China being stabilized. There's not a lot of confidence in growth in China, or gangbuster growth that's going to happen in China. There's not a lot of faith in that out there, guys. But the stabilization, that helped the overall markets understand that, they're doing okay. Yeah, they're still growing. They're not growing like they once were. They're probably not going to get back to that growth, but they stabilized. And the markets, the financial markets, they like stability. They really like stability. So the fact that China kind of stabilized, that was a very positive sign for the markets, and another reason why the markets did okay this year. Number 5. Oil and many other commodities also stabilized, and they began to go up, actually. Specifically, the price of oil. The price of oil is so important to the entire stock market, because so many of the biggest companies are relying upon how the energy sector is doing and how oil prices are doing, specifically for revenue, for profits, for everything. So the fact that the oil price stabilized then made a lot more people feel comfortable about investing in the stock market, because oil's a big indicator. Oil's a big indicator on how the health of the economy is doing and all those kinds of things, guys. Now, one of the other reasons why the oil price even went down in the first place is because a lot more supplies out there than used to be out there. The fracking in the United States, that's just really changed the game. And the fracking around the world, it went from being, not as much oil and very dependent on the Middle East for oil, to now it's like, the United States is basically energy independent as far as the oil goes. We pretty much don't even have to import any oil if we don't want to. We can actually export oil if we'd like. So that's what kind of led to the big decline in oil. And then obviously with the China weakness and things like that, that led to oil bottoming out at 30, I think it was 34, 35 bucks a barrel at one point. And now it's around 50, just above 50. So oil price bouncing back, that was huge for the markets. It was a really positive sign, because generally when oil prices bounce back, that means either a ton of supply got, wasted away, which didn't happen, or demand's just a little bit higher, which we kind of see with the overall economy. So oil stabilizing was big for the market, guys, very big. Last thing is a company-specific thing. The biggest beast of them all, the biggest corporation in the world as far as market cap goes, Apple. Profits down for the first time in 15 years, guys. 15 years. Apple has just been a growth beast for the last 15 years. Ever since Steve Jobs came back and got the company back on the right track, it's just been a monster. Just a monster stock. It grew into the biggest company in the world when it wasn't even close. 15 years ago, the company was a joke. It was labeled as, that might be a bankrupt company soon. And now to be the biggest company in the world, it's amazing. But their profits did go down for the first time in 15 years, and iPhone units were down for the first time since iPhone was launched. A lot of these are worries about Apple, and is Apple going to continue to be the biggest company in the world? Or are they just going to fall and, Google going to take them over as far as market cap goes, and Amazon and Facebook and some of these other companies just kind of, take them over, and Apple continue to decline? That is a big thing we're going to have to pay attention to going into 2017, because Apple was one of the bright lights coming out of the Great Recession, and one of the bright lights overall just in looking at investors and saying, you can make a lot of money if you pick the right stock, because people that picked Apple and stayed with Apple for the last 15 years, they made a massive quantity of money, guys. They're up huge on their positions. So Apple will be a fun one to look into 2017 as do these declines continue? Does the story in Apple get worse? Do profits continue to go down? And this might be a company that's just going to be in decline for a long time? Or do they bounce back and say, hey, you know what? We're not done yet. We're going to still be growth. We're going to be the first company at $1 trillion market cap. That will be fun to see in 2017. I hope this wrapped up the 2016 very well for you guys, and kind of covering, in my opinion, the biggest stories on 2016. And a lot of these were things that were thought, were going to be bad, and they ended up not being bad. What do you guys think about all that? That's very interesting to me. So thank you for watching today, guys. If you come across this video and you're not subscribed yet, you may want to. I talk the stock market the most in this channel. We also talk entrepreneurship. I'm an entrepreneur and business owner. I give away a lot of my business tips. And we also talk personal finance and personal finance tips on the channel, guys. Thank you for watching. Have a happy 2017 and have a great day.